Good morning, Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo, and everybody else who's tuning in. My name is Elliot Pierre, the host of the Mac City Morning Show, and we're going to start this off the same way we start every show off. From the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you for everybody tuning in. I know you could be doing a million other things with your time, and there's a million other things you could be watching online, so the fact that you are watching us definitely means the world to me. Now, on that note, Tanner, hit him with the intro.
How's she cutting me, loves? You're listening to the Mac City Morning Show.
All right, and we are back. Okay, I'm excited about this show. I have seen this man in the community over the years many times. I've always wanted to stop and chat with him because I find him fascinating in regards to what he does and his family. But every time I bump into him, he's busy working. So this is my first time having a real conversation with him, and I'm really excited to do it. So I don't introduce my guests, I let them introduce themselves. So, sir, can you please introduce yourself to the people at home and tell them kind of what you're about?
Well, my name's Clayton Altares. I'm born and raised in Fort McMurray. I'm proud to call this city my home, and yeah, just love it here.
There you go. Sweet. All right, so let's just get into it. There is a video of you shooting guns,
Yeah.
and it was the coolest thing I've ever seen. I don't know if you did it here in town. Me personally, for the people at home, I've never shot a gun. I've never held a gun.
Oh, we're gonna have to take you out then.
Yeah, like I know nothing about guns, literally. There was a gun show in Beacon Hill back in the day, and I picked up. It was the heaviest thing ever.
Yeah.
It really, the myth of holding a gun sideways and like jumping and running. I'm like, I don't think that's real anymore. So there was a video of you that I saw that you were going through a course, kind of like SWAT,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I gotta ask him about that. So, because explain this to me.
So I compete in a sport called IPSC. It's the International Practical Shooting Confederation. It's an international shooting sport. It pretty much started off as only law enforcement and military competitors, but then it branched off into the civilian world.
Okay.
So now it's worldwide. You could actually travel the world and shoot competitions.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. And so that course that I saw, and maybe there's more than one video, I'm not sure. But I saw one video, and it keeps popping up in my feed. So,
Really? Still
yeah.
today?
So you're welcome for all the views. It's me. Was that here in town, or where did you do that?
There's some videos of the competitions in town, but there's some other videos, other competitions in Alberta.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when they have a competition in town, they come here and they set it up. But or is there a course? Like, how do you practice this?
So honestly, our local gun range is honestly one of the best gun ranges in Alberta that I've seen so far. So yeah, like on my weekend or my days off, I'll go there and practice. So you pretty much set up like a mock course, what you'd expect, or just work on your basic fundamental skills.
Okay.
So when a competition comes up here, it's actually held by Alberta IPSC. So it's a sanctioned event. They actually come up. They pay for like all the props, everything. Our local volunteers actually help set up the course,
Right.
but IPSC Alberta is in charge of it.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, I went to the gun range. I've been to the gun range twice now. Once when I was a kid because they had Safegrad there.
Oh yeah.
So that was the first time I went. And my little guy, we went this past summer to shoot a bow and arrow.
Oh yeah.
And as we were shooting bow and arrows, all of a sudden you're hearing like pop 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 pop. I'm like, what is that? Because the people that took us out, they said it was like for bow and arrows. And they're like, no, it's the gun range in general. You shoot not just bow and arrows, but guns. I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't know Fort McMurray had a gun range.
Yeah.
Like, I thought, because I was young and dumb, when we went out there for Safegrad, they're like, oh, we're going to the gun range. I'm like, haha, like nickname, maybe that's what it was back in the day. But no, it's like a legit gun range.
Yeah.
It's cool, man. So my next question for you on the same topic is, how did you get into that?
So my uncle actually started it, I think like back in the 90s. So he would actually come here to shoot one of the competitions here. He actually lived in Calgary at that time. But I'd come and watch him, and then watch him do his thing, like because he was like one of the top ranked shooters in Canada, like fourth in Canada at that time.
Wow.
Yeah. So like I was pretty much like his caddy. I'd go around like help move his equipment. Like after every course or a stage and actually pick up his brass, which was the expelled casings that you could actually reload bullets into. So I'd
Oh,
actually pick him up for him. So like he had bullets to remake
that's so
when I was
cool.
like 5 years old. So like,
Okay.
yeah,
So you just saw it happening forever and you just kept going with
yeah,
it. That's cool. It's amazing what like influences, you know? Like
oh for sure,
your uncle probably never thought anything of it that you would pick it up. You're just a little kid following him around.
yeah.
Cool. I'm going to get back to the gun topic, but I don't just want to talk about guns because you do so many other interesting things. I've seen pictures of you on like during the flood, you're on boats. You're
Yeah.
like going around on boats and stuff. Well, why are you on boats? Why do you get to like float in the water when there's a flood and nobody else is floating on the water?
Yeah. So I'm part of Fort McMurray Search and Rescue. I've been with them for the past 3 years now, or two. Sorry. Um, so I'm the SAR liaison officer, and I'm a team leader slash medic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So explain. This is a world I don't live in, man. You got to talk to me like I'm a child. What is search and? Because to me, I'm just like you have police officers, you have firefighters. What's going on here? So what is this branch about? What do you guys do?
So search and rescue. I like to say like we're in between police and fire.
Okay.
So when people are missing, we assist the RCMP to search for that person. And that's not just searching for people, it could be searching for evidence. So we help them with evidence searches if there's been a crime or something mischievous.
Right. Yeah.
And then with the rescue component, that's when we assist either the RCMP when they just need rescue personnel.
Right.
Because we're usually in the wilderness, the fire department's more municipality. They don't really branch off to the wilderness area. But we also assist the fire department with
Yeah.
whatever they need also.
So is this volunteer based? Do you get paid for this? How does this all work?
So it is volunteer based.
Oh, cool.
You do get government grants like tax credits or like gifts, I should say.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's mostly just all volunteer. So like pretty much going into it, you actually have to pay to become part of the group.
Yeah.
You have to have all your own gear. They do issue you uniform, but like all your survival equipment, like that you would need in the field, you have to have that yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not volunteers. Like you get supplied equipment. This is like you're paying to help.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, because you guys, I see you guys in the winter on skidoos. You guys, I see.
Yeah, we do skidoos, ATVs. We have marine. We work with the helicopters a lot.
Yeah.
So
like,
we pretty much do everything.
I'm like, what is going on
The
here?
reason why it's volunteer is like there's such like there is professional organizations, specifically like the military, but
Right.
there's not really enough calls to make it
Correct.
a professional organization, like a paid.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like once in a blue moon, someone goes missing. And
Right.
There's no justification to
Yeah, have somebody sitting on like call
exactly.
to answer that. So how many people are involved in that organization with you? Roughly, obviously.
So we typically have 50 on the roster. Just with everyone's work schedule, we have that many people. That way, we have someone that's available to go out on a call.
Right.
Yeah.
And so a little shameless plug. If somebody wanted to get involved in this very interesting group that you're in, how does one get involved?
So anyone's allowed to join, but you just need your basic first aid,
Okay.
Incident Command Systems 100. It's actually an online course that you could actually take through the Alberta government. It's essentially teaching you how command structure works, just ranks or logistics and all that stuff.
Okay.
Once you do that, you do need your criminal record check. Then once you have all the three, you actually get put into a basics program,
Okay.
which takes about 10 weeks.
Okay.
So once you complete that program, you're actually allowed to go on searches or rescues in all over Alberta.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how, like, because I'm because your primary job, you work at McDonald Island.
Yeah.
And so I see you at all these events. And then I follow, I'm online a little bit.
Yeah.
And I see you doing these things, and I'm like, is Mac Island doing this? Like, I don't get it. You do some pretty neat things.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that's how, search and rescue.
Yeah.
All right, search and rescue, what's the most unique thing you've had to go search and or rescue?
So last spring during the flood. I got to jump out of a helicopter into floating water or in an
What?
ice shelf. And then the military came in and actually had to get hoisted up. So that was probably the craziest call I've been on.
That is
It was really
cool.
awesome.
Yeah. So where does this like we both grew up here.
Yeah.
And so I think a little bit of growing up here, like you're surrounded by woods, so
Yeah.
you're a little bit adventurous.
Oh yeah, I love the outdoors.
I feel like the cold makes you like a little bit like crafty as well when you gotta deal with the elements here.
Oh totally.
That being said, I'm soft, and you're not. So what's your drive? How did you really get into all of like this outdoor adventurous stuff?
Well, just growing up in Fort McMurray, like we're surrounded by the boreal forest. Of course, I just love being outside. Like I'm an outdoorsman. Like my girlfriend jokes about it. Like I'm just like one big caveman.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
your city friends always make fun of me that I'm like a Canadiano. Like
Yeah, that's awesome.
but yeah, I just love being outside. Like it's also an adrenaline rush when you're just out there in the woods. Like
Right.
yeah.
Right. Okay. I got some more questions, but before I get to my questions, Tanner has a segment called the Mac City Minute. He's going to ask you 5 questions. I don't know what he's going to ask. I'm always impressed. So, Tanner, hit him with the Mac City Minute.
Alrighty, you ready?
Send it.
All right, question number 1. What is one thing in Fort McMurray you've noticed that hasn't changed?
Ooh, hasn't changed. No, the winters are cold.
Question number 2. What is your favorite gun to shoot?
I don't know if you guys know brands, but I'm a big Sig Sauer guy. So I shoot the Sig 226 for my competitions. It's pretty much the gun Special Forces and Navy SEALs use, but now it's being replaced because of newer stuff. But that's my go-to gun. I pretty much shoot that every time. I have multiple styles of it also.
Okay.
So like it's my go-to.
Question number 3. What is your favorite outdoor activity you take part in?
I love just going out into the woods and just having a fire, and just cooking up some hot dogs and sitting around the fire. Nothing better than that.
Question number 4. What is the most interesting thing you found on your search and rescue adventures?
Ooh, am I allowed to say anything?
Yeah.
Is this G-rated?
Yeah.
So one search we had to actually do. I won't say the location to give it away, but we found a suitcase full of sex toys.
Interesting.
Was it pertinent to what you were looking for?
No, it did not have anything to do with
So
it.
there's just a random suitcase of dildos on your
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, and your last question. What do you like to snack on when you're in the outdoors?
I'm a big Spitz guy. Like, I'll go through a bag of dill pickle Spitz in like one sitting. Like, I'll just be walking or sitting around a fire or fishing, just Spitz.
There you go.
Those have been your 5 questions.
Good questions. So you kind of stole one of my questions. I like that you did that.
About time.
Yeah, I know nothing about guns. Like I said,
Yeah.
I picked up a gun that was empty at a gun show one time. It was super heavy.
Yeah.
So when you're shooting guns, what are we talking about here? We handguns, rifles, shotguns, like, or are you shooting them all?
I shoot everything.
Okay.
So my primary gun I shoot for competition would be my handgun.
Right.
But I also compete in 3-gun. So 3-gun is obviously 3 guns that you have on you or around the course. So you have your handgun, shotgun, and semi-automatic rifle. So
Really?
particularly it's the AR-15, but since the restrictions now that have been placed, you're not allowed to use them anymore.
Okay.
But like we still own them, so
Right.
yeah.
Oh. They're decorative.
Yeah.
They're decorative.
They're expensive decoration.
Yeah. This is my next question, and I'll give you a little bit of background story to this. I used to work with primarily Texans,
Oh yeah.
a lot of Texans. And boy, oh boy, do they like their guns. And one day, my boss, JC, he was talking about buying a present for his wife, and he bought her a gun. And I was like, you bought your wife a gun for like her birthday, and he's like, oh yeah, she loves it.
Yeah.
Like, and she did. She did love it.
Yeah.
And I was like, JC, how many guns do you own? And he's just like, before I answer that question, Elliot, how many guns do you own? And I was like, 0. And he looked at me like, 0? And I was just like, not a single one. And I was like, Jason, how many guns do you own? He's like, at least 50.
Yeah.
I'm like, 50? He's like, yeah, if we're counting my kids and my wife, like it goes up more than I'm talking about me.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? And so I just started asking other gun owners how many guns they own, and his number wasn't actually that shocking.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pose the question to you: how many guns do you own?
I actually was in that realm where I had almost 50, but over the years, I've actually sold off a few of them, just because they were just collecting dust. I'm more of a practical guy. Like, if I have something, I'm going to use it.
Right.
So, and those ones I've got were like, I only bought them because they were a good deal, or like I wanted it, like it was the new thing, like.
Right.
But when
right.
it's you actually start using it, it's like there's no practical application for it. So it's like, oh, this is just gonna collect dust. Like I want to use, yeah.
Right.
So now I'm down to about probably 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still 10 more than I own. That's great. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, whatever your hobby is, go for it. That's cool. Okay. Now, before Tanner, how much time we got? Am I 4 minutes left. Okay. One thing I want to talk about, getting off guns, getting off like the cool stuff you do. You have one of the coolest families in town. Like, hands down. You guys are the closest family ever. You guys still like cohabitate together from time to time in regards to like living. You guys have bangers of parties. The food is always off the chain.
Yeah.
Like, what is it about how does your family stay so connected and so like in love with one another? It's a beautiful thing to see.
I don't know. It's pretty much derived from Filipino culture. But beyond that, like we're just tight. Like we've always been together. Like growing up, like our nickname or with my siblings or like we call ourselves the 4 C's because we all start with the letter C.
Right.
So we're like a big group. But yeah, we just love each other and like it's pretty much a village.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to put your home location on blast, but you guys have like a beautiful home.
Yeah.
In town, and you guys like I've been lucky enough to go to a few of the parties there for like your brother-in-law and your sister and whatnot, and it's just like I remember in Fort McMurray back in the day we used to have like Polynesian nights and stuff, and like it was just a night, and that was cool.
Yeah.
And I grew up with some other guys from like Fiji and whatnot, and like your guys' culture is just amazing to see. But then like you guys have taken it to like this other level. As like adults, you still do it. So I just want to say, man, it's super cool and really expiring as a father with a kid and my parents to live here.
Yeah.
Like, we don't do it as good as you do. And I'm like, I got to up my family game a little bit. Yeah. So you guys are killing it. So good job to your parents for like cultivating such a cool family.
Yeah.
So definitely wanted to put that on air. If you're ever lucky enough to go to one of their bangers, listen, you're going to leave full.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And you get to take food home. Like we expect you, like when people come, like we tell them, like bring your containers.
That's right.
So you can take some food home.
And like
you don't get to, you have to.
Yeah,
well, that's it. You have to.
You have to, because I don't want to eat the next day.
Yeah,
like,
and the amount of food is so much.
Or the quantity for the next month.
Yeah,
yeah, it's true. It's sometimes it just gets tiring.
Yeah,
like, yeah.
And you guys, because there's so many. It's like anytime I go over there, even just to pick something up, it's like, oh, come in. I'm like, are you guys throwing another party? And then they're like, no, this is Wednesday.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? How come there's so many people here? Like, it's awesome, man. It's just really cool to see. So that's the end of the time that we have, dude. Thank you very much. I honestly, and I'm super genuine when I say this. I've been wanting to sit down and chat with you for a very long time.
Oh.
So thank you for making the time to come and talk to me today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me.
This is the end of the show where most people do a plug. I know you don't have anything to necessarily plug, but one more time, tell the people who you are and some of the cool stuff that you do.
So, Clayton Altares, work for Mac Allen, Fort McMurray Search and Rescue, and I'm a competitive shooter.
There we go. Awesome. All right. Well, guys, that is the end of the show. Mac City Morning Show finished. Another one. Once again, I want to thank everybody tuning in. It means the world to me. I literally taken aback when I look at the numbers of people tuning in and for the guests who continue to show up. So big thanks to everybody watching. Big thanks to everybody who comes and all the people who want to continue to come and watch. Truly, it's breathtaking and it means the world to me. So thank you very much. Hope you're having a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
I said this. That's another Mac City Morning Show done.
It's so ballistic!
Talk about quenching your ugly thirst.